15 minutes-ish is...
Maybe we'll go longer, Mike. We don't know what we're going to do yet.
Okay.
Maybe it'll be 14. All right.
Are you producing?
Coming to 10.
Oh,
I do all of it.
You do all of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
10.
Okay, everybody. I am so excited to be here. PJ Kwong here with, well, Paul Martini. And guess what? We are just waiting for the pairs to start here at the World Figure Skating Championships in Milano. Have we been having a good time, Paul?
Always a good time, PJ. Never anything but a good time. You know that.
I do know that, actually. So we've had a chance to watch practices. We've now seen the women's short program. We're going to talk a little bit about what we think is coming up. I, of course, have my preview sitting on cbcsports.ca. You want to go check that out and let me know and let Paul know, too. Who are your predictions for gold in all 4 events? So let's talk ladies. It was pretty special today so far. Carolina Costner. Wow.
Performance of the event.
Yes.
And for her, it was I use the word magical.
Yep.
And out of a competition like this, you don't often get magic when you are hometown skater.
Yep.
In front of your hometown audience. There's an expectation to deliver, and it's not easy to do. And she went out there today and just took us on a little journey for 2.5 minutes.
And you know, it was so exciting when she came back here, when the results were posted, and it was a definite season's best for her. But there were people who were actually a little teary.
Well,
we were all pulling for her.
I think the whole skating community has a high degree of respect for her. She's been around for so many years, and that in itself is an amazing accomplishment to have skated at as many events as she has. And she's left us all with an impression of what skating can be. She doesn't just go out and skate a program. She goes out and tries to take you somewhere. And it's when it happens like it did today in her short program, it's a pure delight. It
is an artistic performance not to be missed. So I'm pretty sure it'll be up on a website near you sometime soon. So you want to go take a look at it. So we've got a whole bunch of people who are saying hi. Nora is saying hi. Craig is saying hi. Jay is saying hi. Murray Anderson is saying hi.
Hello, everybody.
So last time we were all together, we were at the Olympic Games. Any particular moments from there that you're carrying forward here to these World Championships?
The biggest impression upon me at Olympics was the fact that after we got through kind of that gong show of the men's short program for the team event, which was not well skated, it was like that got parked and every discipline put on just an amazing event. We did not have what I would define as any terribly bad skating for 2.5 weeks, which at the Olympic Games, as you well know, at a World Championship simply rarely happens. So that for me was the biggest surprise, was that all 4 disciplines rose to the occasion. From individual performances, there were, again, because the skating was so good, there was multiple ones. I mean, the German pair victory of Shevchenko and Massot, divine. I mean, we just all sat there and just went, wow, that is how pair skating can be. And I think there's been a lot of talk over the years with as the sport has morphed through the change in the scoring system, that many felt like, oh, it's so heavy on the tech side. If you don't deliver on the tech, you don't win, so therefore everybody's focused on that. They showed definitively that that doesn't have to be the case, that you can still deliver a performance in this new competitive environment.
A great question coming in from Craig. What's the energy level of the Olympic skaters? Do they have extra motivation, or are they running on empty after traveling so much over this past month? Now, you are somebody who has competed at the Olympic Games and then the World Figure Skating Championships. What is that like?
It's a huge roller coaster.
Yep.
You come off that Olympic high, whether you skate well or you don't, do or don't skate well, it doesn't matter. You've been ramped and amped up so much for the games that you come home and there's just this enormous collapse. There's no better word for it. Your whole body just collapses, and so you owe it to yourself to basically be aware of the fact that for that first week after you get home, just forget about it. You may go into the rink lightly skate, but you're looking at, if you're a pair or a dance team, you're looking at your partner going, I got nothing. I got nothing. And for a single skater, it must be even hard because you don't have anybody to sort of rattle around against. But then you sort of get past that and you go, okay, it is coming. I've got to get ready for it. And it's a struggle to get to the event.
Yeah.
Once you're here, all of a sudden, it amps you up. You get into the lights, the audience, the music, the competitors.
Yep.
Your body and your competitive juices just get you back into the swing of it. But it's difficult, that window in between.
So I'm thinking, based on what we saw in practice and what you just said, that Alyona Savchenko and Bruno Massot are your pick for pair champions. They're mine.
I don't see anyone here who at this particular point in time is really going to push them. I mean, we watched them at the Olympics skate 2 wonderful programs.
Yep.
And she just impresses me with her ability to, number one, stay healthy. Okay? I mean, think of how many, this is her, world championship? She's been to how many Olympic Games? Like, count them, 5 Olympic Games.
Yep.
And she has an amazing ability to just simply stay healthy, which to me is phenomenal given the twists, the throws, the falls and the jumps, all of those things that can just beat you up.
Yep.
She just impresses me so much. She really is this era's Irina Rodnina.
Yep.
I mean, she hasn't won 9 or 10 in a row, but she's been there and been in the hunt all of the times that she's competed.
A figure skating gladiator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Truly.
And with how many different partners? We forgot to,
a whole bunch of different partners, but three at the Olympics.
At this elite level.
2 different countries, too.
Yes, amazing.
Wow.
Simply amazing.
Okay, great question from Laurie Sainz Taraba. How will the Canadian team rebuild following the retirements?
Always a challenge.
Yep.
It's every country's challenge, and they all know it happens. And so you look at who's coming up, who is at Junior Worlds, who is here getting their first experience. You just have to keep the culture of winning happening.
Right.
And I think the key part of that is to continually expose the younger athlete to events such as this, where they have fellow countrymen who are competing at the elite medal level. Mm-hmm. And success breeds success. There's no other way to look at it that way. And for the younger skater, they have to come here and they have to learn.
Yep.
They have to learn. They have to learn something from every time they step onto the ice, every time they do a practice, every time they watch somebody else practice. You have to be here like a little sponge. And you have to suck it in, and you have to take it home and put it into your world, into your environment, and make it grow.
Let's talk a little bit about the men. Mm-hmm. So we've watched some practices. We've seen some skating. Shoma Uno is definitely a favorite. So is Nathan Chen. In my preview, I talk about that Nathan Chen made a mistake in the short program, obviously, finishing in 17th place at the Olympic Games and then moving up all the way to 5th when he won the free skate. I don't think he will make the same mistake in the short program. And the Worlds is a more comfortable place to compete than the Olympic Games. So what do you think? Who do you think is vying for top spot?
I think this event with those who are not here creates an environment for individuals like Chen to finally stake their claim.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about the 2 that you mentioned is both of those individuals, and it's almost becoming a little bit of a thing in the sport right now, they're juggling boots and blades like crazy. Like Nathan Chen, I don't know how many he brought here, but the word at Olympics was he brought no less than 3 pairs of boots and 5 pairs of blades to the Olympic Games. Umo has the same thing. He's got a brand new boots. He's got an injury that seems to be nagging him. The word is he's going to have to tweak his program to accommodate that which is nagging him. So I think the one thing we see from these men is that quads are wonderful, and yes, they will be the differentiator.
Yeah.
He who lays them down is going to be standing at the top of the podium when all is said and done. But at what cost? The injury factory just seems to be playing havoc, and it's going to be interesting to see over the long term how they all manage that, because that's what's going to boil down to. It's like, I got to believe that as a single skater, you simply cannot go out onto a practice session and just hurl quad after quad after quad. The body will simply not take that kind of abuse. So I think it's going to be a combination of coaches, athletes, trainers, working together to sort of come up with a formula, whereas guys and girls,
Yep.
there's a limit to what you can do on a daily basis. Because if you go beyond that, you're just tempting fate to put you on the sideline with an injury.
Heather Thornton is going to miss Javier Nuzuru. Me too. But I think that there are so many other men skating today who are interesting and will capture our attention, certainly as the event moves forward. You and I had an interesting discussion yesterday with Michael Slipchuk, who is Director of High Performance for Skate Canada, talking about the effect of torque, not the landing foot. I thought that the problems all happened with the landing foot, but he thinks that some of the bigger problems are from the torque that is executed on the body in terms of takeoffs and jumps, and especially on the hips, it makes them very vulnerable.
Well, it's, I was shocked when I heard that Michael had a hip replacement.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just past the 50 mark. I was shocked.
50 what?
Yeah. Give him a break. José Chouinard, again, has had a hip done already, and it's the same hip. For those skaters who jump left to right, rotating in a counterclockwise direction, you do all of the thrusting, all of the twisting, all of the torque, as you mentioned, off that left side on takeoffs, because you're working that edge so hard into the ice, and you're working the upper and lower body almost against each other, and clearly it's causing damage.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's obviously a cumulative thing. And it goes back to what I said. There's got to be a point where everybody says, guys, you can only do so much. Whether or not you feel like you want to do another one because you didn't like the last one you did, you got to start drawing the line. Yep.
Great question from Sherry Adams. Who should we watch for in ice dance, and will we see any movement? Well, definitely watch the French ice dance team of Gabriela Papadakis and Guillaume Cizeron. Two-time world champions. I expect them to take their third world title here. Obviously, Olympic silver medalists. And I think that this is going to be a sensational Worlds for them. We're going to see them skate in a way that we haven't before. And what I'm also looking forward to seeing, is to see what the other dance teams will do. So I'm talking about Anna Capellini and Luca Lanotte, who are former world champions, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Pogier, who've been on the world podium twice, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier from Canada also, who can potentially move up in the ranks. There's some great ice dance talent out there, so it'll be fascinating to see where it ends up. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I look at the event, and as you mentioned, I think it's the French team's event to win. It's given that Tess and Scott are not here, the logic and the performance level would indicate that it's theirs to win. After that, I find the American dance teams, the Canadian dance teams, and the Italian dance teams.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
neck and neck.
It's just like intertwined, and I think they're all of a level where just don't make a mistake, because you could be sitting second or you could be sitting seventh.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
And I think it's great because there's a pressure on the dancers now that I don't think used to be there. Like they could make a mistake. It rolled through. It doesn't roll through anymore. They're all cognizant of that, and they'll come back here into the mix zone and they'll tell you exactly what they did wrong. They know exactly what it cost them. So they're all so tight that just don't blink.
Don't blink.
Don't blink. You'll miss the train.
Denise Wong wants to know, regarding the Canadian men, how do you think the men like Keegan Messing will fare against some of the top skaters?
I was so impressed with Keegan at Olympics. He just simply went about his business, didn't really get fazed by the hype of it all, the pressure of it all. He just seemed to stay in his own time and space and did a great job. Watching him practice here, I don't see any change. He's still in that same time and space. Our second boy, Nam Nguyen, it's... who will we get? What will we get? His track record at the World Championships has been sort of the epitome of a roller coaster.
Yep.
And I'm sure he's fully cognizant of the fact that he's not coming in here with any wave behind him. So he's going to have to earn every point.
Yep.
So that in itself creates, a degree of pressure that we'll see how he responds to.
So just to put it into context, 4 years ago, Nam Nguyen was the junior world champion. Then he followed it up with national champion and fifth in the world. That's 3 years ago. 2 years ago, he didn't qualify to skate the free. And then last year, he was not on the world team. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see. He has made some coaching changes. He's here with Robert Burke. And looks comfortable and feels good, and so we're hopeful. You know what? My favorite kind of event is when everybody skates well. I mean, that's just the best kind of event.
But he has the skill set that if he just steps up to the plate and delivers it, he should fare fairly well.
Shelley McCorkle Clark wants to know, thanks for all the questions, by the way, guys. This is fantastic. Shelley wants to know, do you think the rules will be adjusted somewhat on doing all the jumps in the second half of the program? She's not a fan of it.
No, the backloaded program is a product of, and I love it. I do love it when this happens. The skaters and the coaches have broke the system.
Yep,
they found a way to break the system, and it's legal. It's what the rule book says.
Yes.
There's nothing illegal about it, but it's created what none of us really expected or wanted to see. I think
it takes a lot of stamina. That's one of the
huge
reasons why it isn't done very often.
Yeah, it's a
so
huge.
It's not that it wasn't there before. It's just that it takes a special kind of athlete, and Alina Zagitova is one of those athletes who can do it.
Yes.
So
I'm pretty optimistic that it's probably quite high on the list of discussion items at the next ISU Congress. And I'm not saying, or I don't think that you should say, okay, it has to be perfectly balanced. When they have 7 jumping passes, you can only do 3 in the front or 4. It'll just get tweaked so that it's not so blatant.
You're right. But I always say, you have to admire somebody who knows the rules well enough to know how to win.
Yeah.
So,
that's exactly what they've done.
Right. I mean, we look back to the 2010 Olympics and the men's event, and it's widely held that Yevgeny Plushenko lost that event on the strength of not doing a 3-jump combination. Mm-hmm. Had he done it,
different story.
Different story for a different day.
Yep.
Now, what are you most looking forward to watching? And Elizabeth Cardoso-Taylor is saying that inconsistent calls on the technical elements for the ladies' short program today, ? I didn't look close enough yet, to be honest with you. We've been busy since the end of the event.
I think the one thing that we, and I use that as the collective skating get so hung up on is we're searching for something that doesn't exist. The perfect program doesn't exist. The perfect scoring system is never going to exist for this sport.
Right.
So long as there are people who have to make some degree of judgment call, we will always have this discussion.
Sure.
So it's like we should all just let it go and it's like strikes and balls in baseball. That umpire can't see anything. That tech caller doesn't see it right. I mean, as long as we are going to work in that fashion, we will always have this discussion. And it will vary from tech specialist to tech specialist because they're two different people who see things slightly, they interpret what the rule book says slightly differently.
Not only that, we all have our bias.
Of course.
What it is that we like in terms of elements. I mean, when I'm watching a short program, I'm basically just watching the jumps. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking to see what they do with the jumps because to me, the spins are important. There are 3 jumps, 3 spins, and a footwork sequence. But for me, the jumps have it. So I think that for the technical specialists, they're going to be looking at the elements to see what was done, and they're going to have their own sort of like take on what it is. And then, of course, the judges have their own take on how well a certain element was performed. So that part is really kind of fascinating to me.
But I think we're getting a lot of viewers now. I don't know how old all of the people are who are firing our questions, but you and I are of an era when we knew what the old system was like.
Yes.
And I sit here today and go, this is light years better than what we used to have.
And you know what? It favors the skater, to be honest, because there's no more sort of questioning, was it really a 5'9"?
Yeah.
Could it have been a 5'8"? Because the judge's job back in the old days was they had to really compare the skaters to one another.
Right.
Now they just have to compare nothing. They just have to look at what the skaters do. And as I always say, the marks start from 0, you add from 0.
Yep.
So that part is kind of cool. Okay, Skate Guard blog from Twitter. Can we please have an
Spit it out.
Skate Guard blog, you rascal. They want an Underhill and Martini reunion tour.
Oh,
what are the
did.
odds?
Slim to none, and Slim just got up and left the room.
So we're saying no.
No to that.
But who knows? Paul Martini and I, maybe a new dance team. My jumping days are over. That's the reason why I say ice dance. So I'm not really that sure. How are the training arenas chosen? I've noticed several competitors go to locations in the States rather than staying close to home.
It's every skater's prerogative to find the coaching environment that works best for you. I give credit to, I can only relate to my environment. And I mean, Barb and I trained with Louis Stong, Sandra Bezic did our choreography, but I was almost somewhat shocked in '83 when, don't count the years, Louis sent us off to train with John Nix. And I kind of went...
Who was a famous Paris coach, for those who don't know.
Why? Like, why? What? He says, because I want you to experience a different source of input. And I think every skater owes it to themselves. Yeah, you know, I think most skaters always know who their home base is, who their home coach is, but you owe it to yourself to sort of branch out, work with some other people, because a lot of times two people can say the same thing, but one will say it one way and another person will say it the other way, and then the other way you just kind of go, oh, is that what you're, and it just clicks. And so it's kind of like when you're sick. See everybody. It doesn't matter who makes you well.
Sure.
Just go figure out what you need to get.
Do you know where I thought you were going when you said, when you're sick, see everybody, to give them the disease, was where I was going, and I thought, what is he talking about? So I waited, and that was good. Okay, last question. Who are the underdogs to watch for?
Oh,
I thought Gabrielle Daleman, by the way, was an underdog, and she delivered like nobody's business today. Hats off to her.
And I think in the women's event, I think there's still a lot of what I call up elevator, down elevator happenings going to go on.
Yep.
Because I look at that top group of women, and I go, they're all good.
Mm-hmm. That's
true.
true.
It's like we discussed regarding the dance event. Don't blink. Like, don't make a mistake. So I don't know if there's any underdogs. I just think when you look at the field, in all of the disciplines, there's 5, 6, 7 skaters, pairs, teams.
Entries.
That are all capable of getting on that up elevator with a great performance or getting on the down elevator with a weak performance.
The truth of the matter is, you're right. Don't blink.
Don't blink.
And the other thing is, we can't win the whole event from the short program, but we sure can lose it.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to look at Mr. Chen from
the Olympics.
Chen.
Yep.
I mean, he tanked the short.
That's a technical term, right?
Yes, it's a very technical term. Won the free skate, but it was not enough to get him to the podium.
No, but it was pretty close.
Oh, it was a heck of a... He got on the Rush Express up elevator.
Yeah, he sure did. Do not stop.
No.
It was great, and it stopped at 5th.
Yep.
But we thought there were a few moments within that competition where we thought, is it possible? Could he actually get all the way?
And you see, and that's another thing I comment on about the scoring system. In the previous system, not a snowball's chance and you know where.
Yeah.
Whereas now, and the cool thing about it, I think, is that the athletes all know that. So they don't go out there after a subpar performance going, oh, now I'm stuck somewhere between 6th and 10th. It's like, no, I've got the goods. I know how I stack up against the rest of this field. I'm quite capable of making a move. So charge on.
Wow, charge on indeed. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but there is some skating music going on, which means Paul and I are going to go back to work. We're going to start watching the pairs. You guys need to make sure that you're going to watch CBC all week long. We've got some great stuff coming out of here in Milano, and we're going to continue drinking amazing latte macchiato and having great cookies. Honestly, it's been so much fun. So, Paul, we may get a chance to talk some more.
Absolutely.
And everybody, CBCSports.ca for the streaming, CBC to watch television, and at SkatingPJ for my Twitter. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Fade to black.